All right, welcome again to another live broadcast. Today is June the 1st, 2026, and I'll be right up front with you. I'm not going to wish you a happy Pride Month because I don't do that, okay? So right out the rip, I'm just going to be honest. I'm just going to be 100% real with you because that's who I am, okay? So that's what we do here. We don't hate folks. If that's the lifestyle that you choose or whatever, that's you. That's not something we feel like we got to celebrate with you, because I remember back in the day, that was something that, again, the government don't have any business in our bedrooms. Okay, the government doesn't belong in your bedroom. I get that. The public doesn't belong in our bedrooms. Okay, fine. So we don't want to know. Okay, so that's how it is with me as far as that's concerned. But it is Black Music History Month. And that we will acknowledge, and we'll talk about that. But we're also going to talk about how they intersect too. So, we're going to be true. We got to keep it real with all of it, right? So we're going to get into that. We're also going to talk about, if you didn't see the last broadcast that we did regarding the Black Matrix. And yes, there is a Black Matrix system. And it is a system within a system. It's a maze within a maze. And we're going to talk about this Black Matrix system and how it continues to keep Black folks cheering for criminals. And yeah, we're going to call out a few names that you might be very familiar with in some recent stories that are taking place now, Let's see what else. We're going to talk about some other news items like the Congressional Black Caucus and their connection to police brutality. I'm not making things up, y'all. They are counting on you not to look at the details. They are counting on you just to hang on the rhetoric of, Jim Crow's ghost, Jim Crow's cousin about to come and attack and to destroy you and all of that. That's what they're counting on. But we read over here, okay? And we're free, okay? So that's what we're going to get into, along with some other news. Welcome, everybody. If this is your first time, so glad that you're here. But we're going to give people about a minute or so to get on board, to get in, and to grab your seat. Black Music History Month. Well, this is a bit of Black music history.
This one's for the queen who thought.
And this is one that I actually wrote, giving a shout out to all of our sisters, letting you know that your 4C hair is all right with us. So let's go ahead and get into it, and we're going to start the broadcast.
You twist, you turn, you tuck, you side. Mirror talking, why can't it just lie? But I see galaxies in every curl. A sacred pattern, baby, that built the world. They said too coarse, I said too divine. High quality always takes time. Girl, your roots run deep as history. That's more than beauty, that's ancestry. You may think your hair's a curse, but I see it as a blessing. You've been stressing with that pressing, but your essence, baby, that's the lesson. Let your crown glow, let it breathe, let it show. Crowns aren't meant to be covered, no. I don't care what the others think, we just wanna see you happy. I'm happy, cause that's how I know it's true. Learn to love your crown, baby, I'll show you how. That's for see the sun hits right on them coils so tight. Each strand's a story, bold and light. You say it's hard for fingers to slide through, baby, that's two of us, me and you. Let's leave China and India out this talk. We walk in roots that angels walk. No synthetic love could ever compete with the rhythm that your curls beat. You say it's hard to manage, but art always takes some damage. Still you shine through all that pain. Girl, that's power in your mane. Let your crown glow, let it show, let it show. Crowns aren't meant to be covered, no. I don't care what the others think, we just wanna see you happy. We're happy cause that's how I know it's true.
And if you want a copy of that song, along with some other music that we have, just go to our community page right here on YouTube. Just scroll down a little bit, and I actually provided a link where you can download it for free. Make sure you check it out over at Samba, over on our community page right here on YouTube. So glad that you guys are here, and welcome again. Sunny and hot here in the great state of Arizona. It is literally like someone flipped a switch. It's funny. It literally is like someone flipped a switch, because up until May 31st, I kid you not, it was getting warm and all that. We know, Arizona's known for its heat. We get that, right? But today, the heat came in and said, I can feel it coming in the air tonight. Oh, Lord. It came up like, okay, here I go. And I think we hit 100 today. And I think for the next week or so, we're in the 100 zone now and beyond. So, yes, it is warm out here, Jack. Anyway, so there you go. So let's see, Mr. William G. Harper. Hopefully you reached out to sambatree.com email. I think it's care@sambatree.com, and make sure you're talking to someone there, and they'll be able to handle that for you. Okay. So yeah. So make sure you check out with them if you got any questions or issues with your orders, anything like that. And then they'll be able to take care of you, okay? And make sure you check your email, most importantly, okay? Since you brought it up, speaking of Samba Tree, well, guess what? Samba Tree right now, we got a promo going on right now. It's only a limited time that we got going on right now. A while back, we told you about some of the things that, challenges, if you will, that at Samba Tree we were going through, as far as a business and all that concerned. But thankfully, we was able to get a lot of things cleared and straightened out and all of that stuff. And so things have been just fine. And, certain adjustments and stuff had to be made and all of that. But all in all, things have been moving quite fine. And so happy of that. And most importantly, big shout out to you guys, for continuing to trust us, through all of this, and knowing that, yeah, we're busily working and making sure that we're taking care of customers and doing what we're supposed to be doing. Right. And so anyway, we this week, we just launched this. Let me see if I can get this up on the screen. We had to pull off for a while our bitters. Bitters was like one of our more popular products, but we had to pull it down because there were just a lot of like stuff, just the supplier and all that stuff. But we have basically had to do a lot of digging and found a different supplier that's given us the same quality of stuff and all of that. So things are moving quite wonderfully here. And so for between now and June the 1st to June the 10th, we are doing our bitters and sea moss event. All right. And so it, so the bitters, if you're looking for bitters, this is going to be a limited time, because after the 10th, we're cutting it off. Go ahead. I knew she was going to rush home, but go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and let you be the commercial here.
Oh. I don't know what you've covered already. Have you covered it all already? Anyway, hey, family. Yes, so he probably just mentioned the Bitters and Sea event. As you know, the bitters have not been on our website since February, okay? Since February. We streamlined the site, and we made certain collections only available as featured events, right? Just like we did the tropical juices a couple months ago. We did the soursop tea, the bottled soursop tea. All of those are featured events. So we're doing that with the bitters. So can you click on that first one, Dwayne? Yep, just click right on there. And then make that larger if you could. And so if you have been waiting to stock up on your bitters, sea moss bitters, colon cleanse bitters, soursop bitters, moringa bitters. All right. We even added something new, the Shilajit bitters. Go down, Dwayne, right there to the right. Those are brand new. And you are going to get so many trace minerals, fulvic acid in the Shilajit. It does have a strong taste though. I will warn you. And then something Dwayne added, the natural men's tonic. So if you right there in the orange. Oh, well, okay. Well, he clicked on the men's bundle. Hey, right. That's okay. That's all right. That's fine. So what you can see right there, just click on that, Dwayne. Yeah, just click on it. Yeah. So we added a couple of wellness bundles. So this is the men's wellness bundle, the men's tonic, the Shilajit, and the super sea moss. And there's a gut if you want to click out of that, babe. I just want to move quickly because I know you want to get. All right, let's go back. All right, click on the gut reset. The gut reset, that's going to save you almost $8. All right. Click on the image bay. And so in the gut reset bundle, you're getting the colon cleanse bitters as the focal point, the sea moss and the soursop, right? So that's your digestion. That's keeping you regular. All right. And then the last one is the energy bundle. And that one is going to give you the energy and vitality bundle. That one is going to give you moringa bitters, all right, as the focal point, sea moss, and the Shilajit, all right, for energy. So when you're buying 3, you can buy any 3 bitters. Doesn't have to be these we've bundled together. If you want 3 bottles of sea moss, you're going to save $7.50. All right, so that's just a note there. Let's go back to the front page. This is just all the new things we're adding. Right there, let's click on that. Full spectrum sea moss. As you know, if you go, just click on either one of those. Yeah, that one right there. We offer the gold moss, the purple moss. The green moss has been sold out for a while. But if you want all of the colors, right, in one go, this is our full spectrum sea moss, which is a featured product during this event, June 1st through the 10th. It's not going to be a permanent fixture. This definitely is a little bit more expensive for us to get in. You can buy it by the ounce or by the pound, 2 pounds, 5 pounds, 10 pounds, whatever you like. And the last thing, very last thing that's new on the site is, if you have not seen this, whole mouth medicine. This is my favorite. I'm so excited about this. Ancestral oral healing from Africa, the Caribbean, and beyond. Let's click on this one, and then I'm going to be out of y'all's hair. All right, let me just go through the images, babe. You just click on the image. And so this guide covers, so African botanical dentistry, the toothbrush before there was the toothbrush, right? So plants, roots, leaves, barks, okay, chewing sticks, the African toothbrush tree. These are things that you can still obtain today to keep your mouth healthier than any traditional toothpaste will do for you. Let's go next. Inside this guide, you're going to get tooth powder formulas, toothpaste recipes, the oil pulling recipes. You're going to learn about, make that larger, babe, just a little bit larger if you can. You probably can't. But tooth meridian charts, what your teeth are really saying. You can go to the next page. What your teeth are showing you about your organs, because they are teeth that are connected to organs in your body. I'm telling you, it's awesome. We're almost at the limit. We're almost at 100. So the first 100 people we're going to ship you a free miswak stick, chewing stick, the original toothbrush. And then let's go. This one is probably going to be the most powerful item in the guide, the everything powder. So this is tooth powder that covers everything from remineralization to gum pockets, loose teeth, everything. And that recipe is in this guide. All right. And so this is something, it delivers tomorrow, June 2nd, right? So if you want to know about how you can keep your teeth healthy, your children's teeth healthy, right? If the power goes out, if the grid goes down, if you have no internet, if you are supplied, you can make your own toothpaste, tooth powders. And I'm not just talking coconut oil and baking soda. No. We're really getting into some ancient wisdom for oral care and some rare herbs that you've probably never heard of. So yeah, so definitely check that out. That's new at Samba Tree. Love y'all very, very, very much.
All right. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And they can't see you. And they can't see you. Can you turn the
Air on? Yeah, I'll do it.
Let's see. There you go. So really appreciate that. Again, make sure you check that out. Our website again is sambatree.com. Really appreciate that and appreciate you guys checking us out. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into it, and let's jump right into it. Again, I'm looking at it's 98 degrees out. Man, that heat hit me like, I said, yeah, I can't, because we try, you got to go, you go only but so far with the window being open, and after that, it's like, it don't even work anymore. Nope. You got to turn the air conditioner on. So yeah, so that's where we are. We're at that stage now. So anyway, but it's only going to be for a few months or so, and then we'll be out of this situation. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into it. So today we're going to get into a few topics here. We're going to talk about, like I said, the Black Matrix. We're going to continue that discussion. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel is someone who, he's the PayPal guy, tech guy and all of that. Well, news got out that he and his family have relocated to Argentina. And what people are saying is that he's fleeing America because of the taxing and all of that stuff. And, it's a shame that our best and brightest have to flee America and all of that stuff. So that's a narrative that a lot of people are going, but I will beg to differ that it's not all of that. It's something quite different. And we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about one of our feature topics is going to be Pride Month versus Black Music Month. As you know, this month is Black Music Month. And, but then it's also Pride Month. And, of course, as always, I have thoughts on both of them. And we're going to have to be very honest on both, and we're going to talk about that. Then the other topic is the CBC, Congressional Black Caucus, and their connection to police brutality. And no, I'm not making that up, you guys. I will show you the receipts. The receipts are in hand, and you will see them yourself, and you can look these things up yourself. Okay, so I'm not making that up. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started at the top here. Okay, so the last time that we were together, we were talking about this Black Matrix system. And I told you, you have this general system that we're in, that we were all born in, and it's not just here in the United States, but it's one that goes all over the world. And it's a system basically that seeks to enslave everybody, period. There is no love for people. They don't care. Your government doesn't love you. It really doesn't care about you at all. Okay, it doesn't. All right. And anybody that's out here thinking that somehow, I saw a post the other day where someone was like, America loves Black culture, but they don't love Black people. And I said, well, what do you expect? The system isn't supposed to love you. Dummy. It's not designed to love you. And it's something that here in 2026, we still got people who believe that somehow if we just keep on marching, keep on getting our ass kicked out there and do it in front of, see, Master, you see how they treat me, Master? You see how they treat me, Master? Have mercy on me, sir. Have mercy. Have love for me, sir. You think that's how that works? That's not how it works at all. They don't care. They're the ones sending the dogs out there. They're the ones that are doing all of it and eating popcorn in the process. They don't love you. The system ain't supposed to love you. Okay? And so anyway, so this is the narrative that's been fed to us over and over again, that we have to obtain some type of love from the system. The system doesn't love you. It never will love you. It never will care about you, right? So that's the general system, right? Then you have the system within the system, or the matrix within the matrix, and that one has overseers, right? That particular one has leaders, and those leaders are typically part of a cult. And that is Black Greek letter organizations and your Boule class. Those are the individuals who are tasked with keeping you within a certain loop where you're always talking about the same things over and over again. They keep pushing, we shall overcome someday, lift every voice and sing, keep singing that over and over again. Even though if you don't know the words, keep singing it over and over again. One day we will achieve. One day we'll make it over the mountain. One day we may not get there with you. Well, someday we're going to look over and see the promised land and all of that, right? So they keep you in this endless cycle of just never ending stuff, right? But we're never to hold them accountable for anything, especially when it comes to character. And so if you've been following this platform, we've been talking about pulling up all of these different so-called leaders who are right now, who are afraid that they're going to lose their position because of gerrymandering, the evil, wicked, very racist gerrymandering, the same tool that Democrats have been using for years. So let's get away from that. I mean, it's a political tool. I don't like it either. I don't like politics myself, but gerrymandering especially is just one of those things. It just shows you just how unreal, the politics that we do see is, And so, but we're not allowed to hold, the moment we mention accountability in this Black matrix system, that's when the system begins to attack you. When you start pulling out the receipts and showing how many of these leaders have been defrauding their constituents for years and years and years, we're not supposed to say a doggone thing about it. Now here we try to be as thorough as possible when we are looking at these so-called Black leaders, right, in politics. As someone who was born and partially raised in the city of Philadelphia, I could talk about Wilson Goode, Philadelphia's first Black mayor, who made the choice and the decision to bomb a part of Philadelphia to get rid of a Black organization. Now, that sounds crazy and weird, don't it? Because why? People don't talk about it. There is a hush-hush about it. We're not supposed to table it that way. We're not supposed to position it that way. And then when you do talk to some people, they say, well, it was actually the racists around him and all of that. So he had no power? He had no power at all? No, he had power, and he acknowledged it was a terrible decision. But when he ran for mayor again, he played the victim again. Oh, it's either going to be me or the racist. And of course, when you table things that way to Black folks, what are they going to do? They're always going to go, even when they've been bombed by this individual, they're always going to go with, we don't want Jim Crow, anything but Jim Crow. Then we could talk about, and he was an Alpha Phi Alpha member. Then we could start talking about some of these other people as well that have been doing all kinds of things, from taking monies in the tune of millions of dollars from taxpayers to lying to Black constituents, telling them that if you don't take this thing, you're not going to see grandma again. And the untold tens of thousands of Black folks who have lost their lives over a lie that took place over 5 years ago. That event that we're not supposed to mention by name. And as I've said many, many times, many of these people, when you dare tell them, ask them, hey, did you go back and do some kind of test to see what has been the impact on Black bodies as a result of this? They won't tell you. Oh, why are you asking that? See, that's what I'm saying. See, you must be one of them MAGA people. I'm a MAGA person for asking for a little bit of accountability. I'm a Trump supporter. In your mind, I'm a Trump supporter because I'm asking, hey, did we kind of do a little bit of research on this? Now, all of a sudden, don't listen to him. He's a MAGA person. I told you this week, I said they have a legion of black gay men who they have, I'm talking about Democrats now, have at their disposal, who are always on social media. It's the 92%, and it's also black gay men who are on there. And I had a very interesting discussion with one of them on X. And we were going back and forth. There was no disrespect at all that I was giving him. He was trying to serve me all of this, the same talking points that they always give or whatever. But I was coming back at him. I was saying, well, what about this? What about these individuals? What about that? If they're so pro-black, why are they pro these other things as well? Some of the things we're going to talk about today. Why are they this or that on the issue of reparations? I mean, I was just breaking it down to him, and he basically lost it, which I knew he would, because, they, after a while, they just get too emotional, because they can't take it, because they're expecting me to break, and that's not going to happen, right? That's not going to happen. So he ended up putting the emoji where he's giving me the middle finger and told me to go kick rock somewhere and blocked me. I didn't even say anything derogatory to him at all. I didn't say anything to him. But that was his response. But that's typical of what you're going to get. But so again, so we talked about these gatekeepers and what they tolerate. And what these gatekeepers, what they do in secret, they are the standard. This is the point I'm trying to get at. These gatekeepers, they are the standard, okay? Let me just say this again, because I've said this before, and I really want to make sure that you're hearing exactly what I'm saying here. These individuals, these Black Greek letter organization members, they categorize themselves as the talented 10th. They are the top 10 of black people, all right? They're the top 10%. So if you want to see the best and the brightest, you got to look at them. If you want to see the best of all of the black community, you have to look at them. Let's think about that for a second. So if I want to see the very best representation, I need to look at them, right? So if they are the best representation of the black community, let's put our thumb mark there. Let's put a bookmark there. And we talked about what they do behind closed doors. I played, if you saw the short I did recently, and we talked about it a little bit. You literally have to be humiliated in order to be a part of their number. And there's a whole list of things that they go through. All kinds of different stuff that they go through, all kinds of perversions and stuff that they got to go to. Getting beaten, getting humiliated, being talked down to. You got black men that are talking down to other black men. You got black women who are talking down to black women. I mean, being very disrespectful and all of that stuff. So this is the standard behind closed doors in order to be accepted. Okay. Now they may say, well, that's just a little bit, but we also do all these other things in the community and all of these nice things for the community. We do all these other things. Well, of course you do, but you're telling me in order for me to be a part of your number, I got to get my ass kicked. I got to be humiliated as a black man in America. I have to go through that. That's the key that I have to go through. That's the door I have to go through in order to be accepted to do good. No, that's about control. That's what cults do. And so, we talked about some of the stuff they do that is not just borderline gay, but it's gay stuff that they do, lesbian stuff that they do at times. Not all of them participate in this stuff, but it's a wide range of different things that they do. So when I sit back and I listen to these people in public and they want to say, well, we're doing something, helping the young black men and all that to succeed and all that stuff. But you're pulling these black men, some of them behind, when the cameras are off and saying, psst, you want to be a part of our group? Then you're going to have to get your ass kicked, boy. You're going to have to get this. We're going to have to humiliate you. So that's kind of how I look at things. You understand what I'm saying? See, a lot of people just look at, oh, they're giving away books. Oh, they're putting computers in the school. Oh, they're doing this and they're doing that. Oh, they're doing all this other stuff. But see, I'm looking at both worlds here, the one that's seen and the one that's unseen. And it's same thing goes with Martin Luther King. I put Martin Luther King because that was one of the things I had one person come at me and was like, oh, so Martin Luther King, he was an alpha too. So you got something to say about him? Yes, I do. And I will tell you, let me start off and get you very ruffled so you can get up out of here. For those that are very emotional, let me go ahead and get you out of here. I have lost a tremendous amount of respect for Martin Luther King, a tremendous amount. Why is it? Because any man that's on public record of ongoing cheating on his wife, serial cheater. This is not just, oh, you're just going by the FBI. No, his inner circle was saying this stuff. His inner circle is on record is saying that's what he was doing. The night before he got shot in that Lorraine Hotel, you know he was doing? He was in another room screwing somebody. This is all public record. Okay? This is all public record. And the brotherhood that surrounded him, Abernathy, Jesse Jackson, all those other people that was around him, Andy, what's his name? The other dude, you know, all of these guys who are all fraternity members, they knew what King was doing. They knew he was doing this stuff. See, let me say something to you because, see, some of y'all, it just doesn't hit home. It doesn't hit home. You have to keep going through stuff over and over and over again, and then maybe at a ripe old age, you'll get it. But see, here's where I'm coming from. I don't care what the movement is that you're doing. It could be to feed children all over the world for free. I don't care. We're not just talking about, well, you know, we're not all perfect. You know, we all do things and, you know, that we're not proud of and all this other stuff. But see, what you got to understand is who you are when a lot of people aren't looking. It has a direct impact on what you do in public. I mean, don't your own Bible talks about that? Andrew Young. Thank you, Todd. Yeah, Andrew Young. Your own Bible talks about that. What you do in secret, somehow, some way, it comes out in the public space. So here you had this man, I'm talking about Martin Luther King, who was a serial cheater on his wife. He's a serial cheater. Now, his wife, of course, she had to, she was maintaining appearances and all that stuff. But, she just, went along with it, along with the children. But see, black folks will look at that and say, well, Dwayne, listen, yeah, I hear what you're saying, but see, this man was an icon and what he did. See, we got to focus on the greater good and what he did and all that stuff. If your greater good requires you to cheat on your wife and your children, I say send it all straight to hell. Let me say that again. This is how very serious I am when it comes to family, when it comes to our dedication and our loyalty to family. If you cannot be loyal to your wife, if you can't be loyal to your children, then so goes the entire movement. And today, we are still in 2026. We're still complaining about the same stuff we were complaining back then. Gee, I wonder why. I wonder did it have anything to do with the foundation not being stable? I wonder if it had anything to do with that. See, we just settle for less. And we just settle for just the appearance. You got the preacher down in New Birth. Him, the bishop down there. This man is, again, serial. He got baby mamas all over the place. Some he's not even taking care of them. But they constantly post this guy up as if he's like, oh, Yeah, I know he's got some issues and all that, but hey, listen, he brought down the house, the anointing. I don't want your anointing. If your anointing, and I say to hell with your anointing too. Okay, let me say that true. Because if your anointing is winking the eye at you cheating, then what's the point? If your anointing is winking the eye at two men playing lightsaber, if you know what I mean, if that's your anointing, keep it. I don't want it. See, this is what it's going to require if you really want true progression, starting with your own life. You understand what I'm saying? You're not going to get a lot of people on board talking like this, because it's too ingrained in them that, we gotta stick together no matter what, warts and all. How about we don't want warts? I don't want warts anymore. How about that? How about we just clear the slate? And the only way, and I'll say this and we're gonna get right into it, the only way what we call the community is going to move forward, I'm gonna say this, is that there's certain things that are going to have to be destroyed completely. And remember, I gave you the example of, Lord of the Rings, when you had each one of these different kings and stuff. They said, hey, if I get the ring, if I get the one ring, hey, I know it's evil and all that, but see, if I control it, see, I'm going to be able to do this with it, and I'm going to be able to do that, and I'm going to be able to do that. And that's what you got these so-called black leaders. That's what they've been preaching to us. Hey, if we get control of the government, I'm going to be able to do this. I'm going to be able to do that. And we see that doesn't work. So what was the final solution in Lord of the Rings? You got to destroy that thing. You got to destroy it. There is no good that can come out of that. There is, as I've said many times before, what we call the United States government, as well as governments all over the world, they are corrupt. They are designed to be corrupt. And if anybody's going to be successful in a corrupt system, by default, they are corrupt. They have some corruption in them. Do you understand what I'm saying? So we got to get our heads out of the clouds and stop believing that somehow if we vote for the right person, they're going to come in, they're going to flip this thing around, and they're going to take. It doesn't work that way. You got to destroy the whole thing. Now, are black Americans, are we in a position where we can bring the governments and all that down? Of course not. And I'm not advocating that, because it would be a bloodbath. Not for them, for us. I wouldn't suggest that at all. So anybody that's trying to read and say, oh, he's out here trying to raise up an army. I'm not trying to raise no army, y'all. Trust me. I'm trying to get you to wake up to reality and to see that, no, right now you're playing in a fantasy land. If you think that all my mean tweets are going to do something and I'm going to tail them off, and Jasmine Crockett, and she going to do her thing and all of that, and that's going to they don't care about that. They don't care about that, because the real decisions are being made beyond what you see in public. That's how it works. That's how government works. And tonight we're going to talk about that. That's how it works. Anyway, let's get into it. So that's what we talked about. Okay, so let's jump to, let's see, which one should I go with first? Okay, Pride Month versus Black Music Month. Let's go with that. Okay, so let's go with that. So anyway, so as you know, that this month is Pride Month. Okay, that's what they're going with right now. But it's also Black Music History Month. And there's a video I was going to play, but you can look it up yourself. But it's Jimmy Carter. It's quite lengthy, but you can look it up. But Jimmy Carter was actually the one that signed, I guess, the proclamation that June is Black Music History Month. And he gets a very long and but it's very good, speech where he's talking about. Let me see if I can find that, man. I think out of historical reasons, maybe we should play some of that. Jimmy Carter. Let's see, Jimmy Carter. Black Music History Month. Okay, let's see if I can find that. If I could find it. If not, Or maybe did I bookmark it? Maybe I bookmarked it. Yeah. Okay, let me see. I'll look over here. Bookmark. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Okay, so we'll look at this one, this version here. I think he was in Philadelphia actually giving this speech here. So let me pull this up on the screen and let's just listen to a few minutes of it. And this is Jimmy Carter again, giving his speech where he's talking about Black Music History Month. Okay. All right, let's take a listen.
Organization, but it was one that was organized
Uh-oh.
at the right time, in the right place, for the right reason. It's only a year old, but I understand already has 2,000 members. And tomorrow in Philadelphia, you'll have your founders meeting in a very appropriate place. As you know, our own nation was founded in Philadelphia. And I was thinking this afternoon that if we had had the Black Music Association organized 203 years ago, so that Benjamin Franklin and Thomas Jefferson and George Washington could have just heard some of this music at the very beginning, our country could have avoided a lot of trouble and a lot of heartache and a lot of struggle and a lot of suffering and a lot of division, and would be even greater than it is now. It's important, in my opinion, for our own nation and the rest of the world to know the importance that the President of the United States and his family and friends attach to black music.
I'm gonna pause it. I'm gonna stop it there because again, why y'all be putting licensed music on stuff, man? I don't understand, because YouTube they're probably gonna get me on that, but whatever. But you're seeing it live. But what he said when I was listening to it, it really made me pause a whole lot, because when you think of black music and the impact it's had on this nation, and not just this nation, but literally all over the world. I mean, it was literally the soundtrack. Someone made a statement. I thought it was quite interesting. They said that, they were talking about jazz music. They said, white people, was actually Jewish people, actually called our music jazz. They said, but I call it black classical music. And when you sit back and really think about black music, it's literally was the soundtrack for a lot, not just for black people, but for this nation in many ways. And its importance in history, no, it does not necessarily directly tied to maybe some scientific discoveries, or, maybe it's not, tied to a rocket or something like that, or, anything along those lines, some engineering feats or whatever. But the music itself, when you really pause and really think about it, the impact that our music has had on this nation, just this nation. Now, we ain't gonna even talk about the world, but just this nation, how you had poor black children who were able to open their mouths and to sing a song that reverberated from the halls of Cabrini Green to the halls of the White House, government buildings, and even in other nations that were trying to get their movement started. Our song was that impactful. It was powerful. And it was something that really gave, it put flesh on just where people were. And this is just one of the talents that as a people that we're just born with, and that's why I do take, I roll my eyes a lot when I see these. We need, the Africans versus black Americans versus Africans. Then you got black Americans saying we don't have nothing to do with Africa and all this other nonsense and stuff. And I do get the, we need to divest and all that. I ain't talking about that. But it gets to a point where it's like, now it's like you're literally trying to cancel out parts of your history. And we've done extensive videos where we talked about how, you know, everything from the drum and various instruments and where they all come from, you know what I mean? And how we express ourselves. And so Black music is something that is very, very something of note. And to have the president of the United States at that time to push for something where he says, listen, we need to have a month basically where we just, you know, honor that. And some people may say, well, you already got Black History Month. Well, no, and I kind of made a mistake. I think I said I called it Black Music History Month. It's actually just Black Music Month, right? But when you stop and really think about it, not that you didn't have other music going on in this country, but our voice really left and continues to leave a very indelible mark on history, on the opinions of people, the whole nine, and it gets people through. I mean, just everything. I was listening to, I was going through the past few weeks, I was listening to music from the I was listening to like music from the 1920s during the Great Depression. I mean, nonstop. Sometimes I just go with it. It's like, why am I listening to all of this? It literally is like nonstop. I just had it on repeat. And I know my daughter, she was rolling my eyes like, oh, he's still playing this stuff. And I was just loving it. I was just listening to all of this stuff. And it was funny to listen to a lot of these songs that we as Black folks, we actually wrote these songs, but, you know, record companies back then, they said, well, you know, we got to have a white person sing it and all of that. And so it was funny to, you know, to hear some of that. But, you know, I was listening to Duke Ellington, a lot of Duke Ellington, a lot of other artists of that time. And it's just really, really something, just the quality of music and storytelling. Some of it was funny. Some of it was not so funny, a little bit depressing, you know. But nonetheless, that part of our history is something I think is worthy of being honored and respected and all of that. And so, that's something of note. So I just want to really take the time to say that Black music isn't just a genre. It really is it played a very significant role, not only in this country, but in countries all over the world. And so it's a very significant thing. It's not just, so you never brush off our music. And I'm not just saying that because I'm Black. I'm saying that as someone who's a lover of music, period. I am saying, and one that loves music history. Oh, love music history. I could sit back and see, wow. It's really an entire landscape that we could sit back and say, wow, we contributed to that, you know? So on that note, now let's talk about Black History Month, all right? Now you got Black History Month, then you got Pride Month, right? Now Black History Month is generally a month that, for the most part, people will refer back to history, things that happened in the past. That's when you see all of these different posts on social media where they're referring to things that we did in the past, and Black inventors, and, you know, Black politicians, and things, you know, what Black people did way, way back in the day, right? And, you know, those things are good, and I don't have any problem with that. But let's talk about the difference. When we look at Pride Month really doesn't dwell in the past. Now, they may mention some people like Harvey Milk, or, you know, some of these other people who were, you know, known to be gay, but they were kind of closeted at that time or whatever. But they don't really spend a whole lot of time there. They spend most of their time talking about what they're doing now and what they're going to do. That's the difference. You have one group that's always dwelling in the past, always talking about what we did then. But then you got another group that's always talking about what they're doing now and what they're going to do. You see the difference? You see that? And so that's what I'm saying, that this system, this Black matrix system, it keeps us locked into the past. Every infraction that happens to us, we have to link it to Jim Crow or a ghost of Jim Crow or his cousin. We always got to link it to something that, oh, if you do this, They're bringing Jim Crow back. If you do that, doesn't that remind you of the KKK? Doesn't that remind you when they bombed that church in Alabama? Doesn't that remind you of what they did when they burned those crosses? Doesn't that remind? It's always that. And they stay on that over and over again. Meanwhile, in the LGBTQ movement, they're talking about stuff they're doing now, and they're talking about plans they're doing in the future. And this is one of the main reasons why you see them, that small, tiny group, excelling in this system. Because they stay thinking forwardly. They think forwardly. Now, when we think about, if we're going to talk about black music and LGBT, let's be real. When you look at black history or black music history, LGBT is all in it. It is. Let's be real. Let's be honest. Okay? When we talk about gospel music, it's full of instances of gay and lesbian individuals that were in it, right? But whatever persecution that they faced, I mean, what they faced was in no comparison to the persecution that they faced because they were black. Okay, so as far as the sexual orientation stuff, a lot of times they would keep that on the low, and they would get some pushback, by certain individuals. But by and large, the system at that time, it looked at you, at your skin color, and that's it. But let's be truthful. When we talk about, let's say, for example, gospel music, and just in gospel music, for example, in gospel music, there was a lot of gays and lesbians all in it, from the choir director, even the pastor, all of that, the church mothers and all of that. You think the church mothers, they were just a bunch of holy women? No, they were freaky too. They were doing all kind of things. We have a series on that where we talked about that. Okay, so this is a part of the history as well that we do have to acknowledge that. What was I going to say in regards to that? So anyway, so the two are related. I mean, we got to be honest with that. But do we have to? But at the same time, as I've said before, I don't hate people that are of that persuasion. I don't hate them at all. But I do have a lot of issues with them, especially when you're dealing with children. I don't. When you're messing around with children, I got a whole issue. I got issues with that. I have very strong opinions about that. When you're messing with our women, our young ladies and stuff, and convincing them to do things to their body, that are permanently damaging their bodies, I have an issue with that. Okay. Same thing with our young men as well. I have an issue with that. Now, like I said, and I'll continue to say, you're grown. Whoever you want to do and play around with or whatever, that's on you. But leave that in your world. But as far as trying to make that an equivalency of being black in America, there is no equivalency to that, period. There is none. That is something you choose to do. You choose to live that life. And if you choose to live that life, then so be it. But it doesn't mean that I have to love it or embrace it. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'll just give you an example. Yesterday I was in the store. I was looking for something, and the product that I was actually trying to find, it was pretty big. And I'm sitting up here scratching my head trying to figure out, okay, how do I get this in the shopping cart? And this young lady comes by me, and she was definitely like of that persuasion. Earring. Rings all over in her face, all that kind of stuff, multicolored hair, all of that stuff. But she was just so sweet, because she came to me and she was like, would you like to get me to go back and get you a cart? I'll go back there and get you a cart or something if you aren't. Now, this is like in Walmart. I was like, you do that? I appreciate that. And I said, you know what? And she went back there and got it. I waited for her. She went back there and got it. I've never gotten that kind of help in Walmart. And I said, what's your name, honey? And she told me her name. I said, I'm going to go, whoever supervisor up there, and tell them exactly what you did, because I do appreciate that. So I ain't got no problem with that. You know what I'm saying? You be nice, I be nice, and vice versa. You know what I mean? So I don't have an issue with what I'm scratching my head, but, doggone it, I would say something nice, but she looks like she's a lesbian. I don't care about that. You know what I'm saying? I don't care about that. But when you take that and you're like, okay, let's educate the children on that, I got an issue with that. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is if you do a search right now, as I did, and we're going to go through some lists tonight. If you do a search for all of the members of the Congressional Black Caucus, all of them today, and I would encourage you to do it. I went through some of them, and all of them, the ones that I came across, every last one, no matter what name I put in there, in their posts, remember, it's Pride Day. And I'll show you, let me see if I can pull that up on some of the ones that I did manage to save for you. But they were posting today, Jack. Here is Mayor Muriel Bowser of Washington, D.C. This is a post that she posted here today. Let me see here. Let me get this up on the screen so you can see it for yourself. This is her right here. My volume's up. Okay, cool.
51 years of pride in the future 51st state. And both movements are rooted in the same belief. Every person deserves to be seen, heard, and fully represented. We're celebrating Pride Month in the gayest city in the world.
Washington, D.C., the gayest city in the world. I thought that was Tel Aviv, but it isn't that something. But I'll tell you, I'm going to tell you in a moment how they're two connected. But anyway, she says the gayest city in the world, Washington, D.C. She's trying to tell you. But but anyway, but yeah, you know, you got the trannies in the back and all that stuff. See, again, that really doesn't bother me. I'm just trying to get you to understand. I don't care if you're a man and you want to wear a skirt and you just as dusty. I saw someone the other day, man, trying so hard to be a woman. He just, you know, like walking and he was holding it. Of course, it's an interracial baby. They always got to have a black baby somewhere in arm's reach. But he's walking like, you know, and had a little mini skirt on. I'm looking, I'm like, is that a man? I said, yeah, that's a man. Your neck too thick. But anyway, but I'm looking at this and, you know, if you want to cross-dress, then do it. I don't care. Heck, if you live in some of these major cities and all that, you're going to see all kind of strange stuff. I ain't losing any sleep over that. But those same cross-dressers will make a beeline to children's hour in libraries. I got a problem with that. But when you go through on social media and you look at a lot of these individuals who are mayors, here's the Mayor Brandon Johnson of Chicago. This is him right here on the left. He got a little bouquet of flowers. Okay, so that's him right there. Celebrating Pride Month. What man, big as he is, he wearing a bouquet of flowers on his head. And this month, it's really funny to see they couldn't wait to get to put up all of these videos of Kamala. You know, how she was such a strong supporter of LGBTQ. And they're putting all kinds of videos of her. Kamala, by the way, who's an AKA member, they, you know, they got her all on there. And here's a video of her, you know, with her, another one of her coordinated, very well coordinated videos. Take a look at this one.
Okay, that's wonderful. Thank you. Have a good day and enjoy it. It's going to be fun.
I'm looking forward to it. Okay.
That was the clerk of Los Angeles, and I just told them that they have to start marriages right away.
Okay, and then this one here, this is Representative Chantel Brown.
Happy Pride Month. As a proud member of the Equality Caucus, it is so important to make sure that we not only celebrate the LGBTQI+ community, but that we also keep working for progress. Let's never forget how this movement started at Stonewall, as the very first Pride was a protest for basic human rights. And let's continue to fight alongside our LGBTQI plus community in our fight for equality. To our neighbors, family, and friends in Northeast Ohio, I see you and I support you, and I will stand 10 toes down to defend your rights.
There you go. And this is Kamala Harris again.
Let the rings exchanged and the vows declared symbolize your commitment, sincerity, and affection, and may your love never falter. By virtue of the power and authority vested in me by the state of California, I now declare you spouses for life.
Okay. All right. So that's their choice. That's what they want to do. Okay, fine. So they're, like I said, again, they are literally flooding social media now with all of these videos of her, you know, how she stood 10 toes down when it comes to, you know, black, you know, when it comes to LGBTQ causes and all of that, right? So she's very specific when it came to them. But when it came to Black American issues, well, that's something a little bit different. Y'all seen this video.
Again, we had over 200 years of slavery. We had Jim Crow for almost a century. We had legalized discrimination, segregation, and now we have segregation and discrimination that is not legal but still exists and is a barrier to progress. We have disparities around housing. We have disparities around education. We have disparities around income. And we have to recognize that everybody did not start out on an equal footing in this country. And in particular, black people have not. And so we have got to recognize that and do something about that and give folks a lift up. That's why, for example, I'm proposing the LIFT Act. Give people who are making $100,000 or less as a family a tax credit, which will benefit and uplift 60% of black families who are in poverty.
So by default, it affects black families, but there's not a particular policy for African Americans that you would explore.
But no, if you look at the reality of who will benefit from certain policies, when you take into account that they're not starting at the same place and they're not starting on equal footing, it will directly benefit black children, black families, black homeowners, because the disparities are so significant. So if we focus on the specific issues that have resulted in the greatest disparities, and we understand that that's part of why we're doing it. Listen, the reality also is this: any policy that will benefit black people will benefit all of society. Let's be clear about that. Let's really be clear about that. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit black people. No.
There you go. There you go. So for black people, it's something, we're in a very general position. You know, it's very general. If you help black people, you're helping everybody else. You know, that's been her thing. Okay. And, but for gays, well, we got to do something very specific for them. Very specific. We got to make sure we can. But who's leading the charge with all of this? Who's leading the charge? When you start looking at that, well, you got people like Kamala Harris. You have Congressional Black Caucus members. Like I said, again, take a look at their pages. All of their pages, they are proudly waving the flag today. But I looked and I said, let me see who is actually out of the members of the Congressional Black Caucus, with this being Black Music Month. Let me take a look at how many of these Negroes have put anything up acknowledging that this is Black History Month. You want to know how many I found? You want to know? What rhymes with Nero? 0. I ain't seen that one. Now, this is the Congressional Black Caucus. Not one of them that I have been able to find posted anything up today acknowledging that this is Black Music History Month. Not one. Not one. But all of them very quick. we got to acknowledge this group of people. And the thing, like I said, again, going back to what I was saying earlier, what you do in the dark is going to come out. So if this is something that you green light, there's something called the elephant walk. And this is something that they actually caught it on camera, but they said this is something that you'll see other fraternities and sororities or fraternities do it, right? Because sororities couldn't do this. But the elephant walk, if you've ever heard of that, basically the elephant walk, this is part of some fraternities will do this. And it's part of the humiliation. And I'm sorry, to mess with some of y'all, but it is what it is. Now, for some of you who've seen like some of the Disney cartoons and like the elephants when they're walking together and you got one elephant here and his trunk is connected to the tail of the elephant in front of him, right? And then that elephant, in turn, his trunk is connected to the tail of the next elephant, so forth and so on, right? They call that, and so anyway, so that's the elephant walk. Well, one of the sick and demented things that they do, just gives you a taste, is that they have guys doing that. Now, I'll just go ahead and let your imagination go with that. Now, am I saying that's a general practice that they all do? No, but I'm just giving you an idea of some of the humiliation rituals that these individuals take part of that are not just little gay, they're a lot gay. Okay, that reminds me of a video that I did come across here. It's right here of this gay guy that's actually, he's just telling it. So we're not gonna listen to the whole thing because I get to a certain point, I just can't hear that voice. It just gets to be a bit much for me. But let me go ahead and play this video here. Give me a moment. I'll bring it up on the screen, but you'll be able to hear it first.
Okay, I'm going to be the one to say it if no one's going to say it. Hazing is gay. No, seriously, let's clock that T. You have so many of these macho men, you have so many of these men in corporate America who are still defending, the hazing process that goes on in a lot of these fraternities around the country. And hazing is a part. So when I say hazing, I don't mean just the little hazing that boys do with their friends. Like, I don't even consider that hazing. Or, the practical jokes that these people pull. Oh, you're going to take a bath in milk, with their friends. Stuff like that. No, I mean how they have pledge books and ledgers. And these men are going from their suburban areas or wherever they're from, whatever background they're from, and they're going to these fraternity houses and they're being bound, gagged, paddle whipped, demeaned, humiliated. In some extreme cases, a lot of them are not talking about it, but great. What else? There's a pretty big list. Now, let's compare some of those things to DLs and some of the things that they say. Oh, I just like the power dynamic. Oh, I just like having fun. Oh, I like making boys be submissive. Or, oh, I like things of that nature. Like boys being submissive. That comes up a lot. When will you guys understand that this DL situation is a lot bigger than TikTok, a DL whisper, all of this? The DLs are so bad, so ingrained into our society that a lot of them probably don't even know that they are. They are sitting up here literally doing dominatrix gay acts on these boys. And they're calling it brotherhood. What does that sound like? The story of the Greek men way back in the day having intercourse with these young Greek boys to make them men. We talk about this all the time about how this patriarchy, first of all, look at all
yeah, whatever. And so get off of that. But anyway, but what he did point to something about the Greek and what they used to do. Yeah, that was part of their thing. It's like in Greek culture, they would all, in certain like groupings in the upper echelon of society, the men, in those political spaces, it was very common for them to have their little side boys, and this is what they do. And this is what makes it so interesting to me. See, a lot of times we just say things and we don't take the time to really think of it. Why is it that you got people black as me, even blacker than me, fighting this hard to maintain another person's culture? You're literally calling it Greek culture. Greek culture. Call it African, call it freedman, call it something. But you're literally calling it Greek culture. And you're taking on what these Greeks used to do with these little boys. You're taking that on. And you're trying to claim that as your own, but it's not your own. That's why, dudes, brothers, you can't say anything about these black women who are wearing these blonde wigs. oh, y'all trying to be white. Well, what are you doing? What is you doing? You're literally calling yourself a Greek. And it's the same thing with the women too. We're Greeks. You ain't Greek. Even the Greeks don't even do that kind of stuff anymore, probably. You out-Greeking them doing this stuff. And so anyway, you take, so that translate to whatever it is that when you're doing that to try to prove if someone's legit or whatever, that carries on into the main space when you become a politician or, you have your own talk show or whatever like that. Well, guess what policies you're going to push? LGBTQ stuff. Why? Because you're doing that. That was a requirement for you to enter into your world, into your space. That's why these Negroes push it so hard. Because they were doing that in secret. You understand what I'm saying? So yeah, all that's why they push it. That's why we shouldn't be surprised when we see the Kamalas and the other in these AKAs. Many of these fraternities and sororities, they do have a statement where they're saying, "Hey, listen, regardless of gender, we're opening the doors for you," and all of that stuff. They already have statements out where they're saying that. So this represents the best and the brightest of Black America. So if the best and brightest of America tolerates talking down derogatory towards other Black men, talking down derogatory towards other Black women, and saying all kinds of crazy things, beating them, hitting them, and all of that stuff, what do you think the other 90% is going to look like? If that is your top 10, what do you think the 90% is going to look like? I'm not saying that they're fully responsible for all of that, but if you're the leaders, what's the other percentage what the followers going to look like? They're going to follow the leaders. They're going to say, okay, well, that's okay with you. I'm going to do it too. That's why I said the same thing with Martin Luther King. If he was considered the leader and they were greenlighting the fact that this man was a serial cheater on his wife over and over again, what do you think they're going to greenlight? Everybody else is going to greenlight. Well, hey, listen, the devil, he may think he had this day, but greater is he that is in me, that's he in the world, and then you go back and do the same thing. You understand what I'm saying? No, marriage has got to mean something, y'all. It's got to mean something. We can't just be tolerating, that kind of stuff and think, oh, well, the greater good. No, damn the greater good. What about what's going on in the house? And the result of that is Coretta Scott King, after, this is many, many years later, well, guess what she's pushing now? Guess what she was pushing? LGBTQ. And she said out of her mouth, the part of the reason why when we were out there marching, we were also marching for LGBTQ. Well, that's news to my people who were part of that. We didn't know that. But that's what again, you see how that works. And this is something, and I'm just going to throw this out as an extra here. Because I think about the wives a lot of times who have endured that. Now, just imagine this is your husband, and he's a serial cheater. I mean, serial, doing all kinds of stuff, right? I'm just going to put this out here, and whatever you want to do, it is up to you. But I'm sure any wife would have been very sad to hear about the fact that your husband was murdered. I understand that. You understand what I'm saying? I totally get that. That's totally normal. It's totally normal to think, that if your wife, your husband, or vice versa, you're going to be sad. There's going to be a part of sadness with you. But I also wonder, because I'm looking at her as a human being. If you've been basically dishonored by this person over and over and over and over and over and over again, I just wonder sometime if there was a part of her who was kind of like, let me move on, from that. You know what I mean? I just wonder if there was a part of her that just, I'm not going to say relieved, that's probably too harsh, but I think you know where I'm going with that. Because I can't see how a human being can just, if you've been dishonored like that over and over again, you just forget about all of that part. You understand what I'm saying? And one thing I know is a lot of times, particularly like in these different families that are very popular within the Black community, like preacher families and all that stuff, they will maintain certain appearances for the greater good. But in reality, these people are fighting like cats and dogs behind the scenes, but you will never know it. And they're surrounded by people who will protect that from the people, because we got to protect the office. We got to protect people. And what I'm saying is that has to stop. It has to stop. We got to be honest. That's the point I'm trying to make. But what I'm saying is that kind of stuff, no, we have to draw the line on that too. And some people, they just kind of like whatever with that. I'm not saying that. Do people make mistakes every now and then? Yeah, but we're not talking about mistakes. We're talking about this was a part of this person's character. And the thing is, he wasn't the only one. There's a lot of people, even to this day, that do all kinds of crazy stuff. And we gave you some examples now of stuff that were going on behind the scenes. But yet the other members, part of their agreement is, we're going to keep this on the low. So you have no respect for this person's spouse, but it's all about the member. We're going to protect the member. Anyway, these are your leaders. These are the so-called leaders that you have. So anyway, so what we'll do, let's take a quick break. And then when we come back, what we'll do is we're going to get into why Peter Thiel is moving to Argentina. Let's get into that. Just give me a few moments here. Just a few moments, and then we'll get into that. Thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate it. And if you got any questions or things to add, put it in the comment section. And then when we come back, we'll get right back into it. Okay. Like I said, give me about 30 seconds. Okay.
From the leaf to the bottle, yeah, we slow it down. No rush in the process, we let love come around. Yeah. Sun on the flavor, lime in the blend. Once you taste something real, you don't play pretend. Ain't no shortcuts, ain't no disguise. You can see it in the color, taste it when you try. Grown folks sip, yeah, it hit just right. Daytime cooler or warm late night. If you know, then you know what I mean. When it's brewed real slow, keep it clean. Let me tell you what it is, my friend. Brewed, not powdered. Fresh, not pretend. Samba Tree, sour soft. You wanna sip it again and again. Brewed, not powdered. Fresh, not pretend. Samba Tree, sour soft. You wanna sip it again and again. Again.
All right, let's go ahead and get on back here. Really appreciate you guys. We're going to keep on moving here, and let's make sure we get all these other topics. And again, make sure you check out our website, sambatree.com. Again, that website is sambatree.com. If you missed the beginning part of the broadcast, we talked about bitters. If you are someone that used to purchase bitters from us, they are back, and we got a ton of them. So make sure you check them out. Again, that's at, but it's only for a limited time. It goes from June the 1st to the 10th. After the 10th, that's it. All right. So we're doing it a limited release, June the 1st through the 10th. Make sure you check us out again. That's at sambatree.com. Okay, let's get into this here. Peter Thiel, as you know, this is an entrepreneur worth many millions of dollars. Okay. And, he's someone that greatly influenced our vice president, along with other top leaders and all this other stuff. And this is someone that also has going on, like, done these interviews where he's talking about, the Antichrist and all of this other stuff. So you got Christians out here that's saying, oh, he must be a Christian and all of this other stuff, right? Well, recently news got out that he and his family moved to Argentina. And the belief is that, and they were saying that the reason why he moved away from the United States is because, some stories were out there saying that he had mentioned something that he wants to protect his family from a potential nuclear war. There's other things that they were saying that he is, as someone of great wealth, the amount of taxing that's going on in the very liberal California, he had to get out of there. And that's, Republicans' way of trying to dig one in on the left and all of that stuff, right? And, so they float all kinds of things out there. But this young lady here actually came out and she did a video and had a very interesting take. And she's just pulling on what we do know about Peter Thiel. And I found this to be quite interesting. And I wanted to take a listen to what she had to say on this. So let's take a listen. Hopefully this is the right one. Let's go.
Peter Thiel is not moving to Argentina because he's afraid of where America's headed. That's the story you're being sold, and it's completely backwards. He has run this play before. A few years ago, he funded an entire private city in Honduras and then sued the entire city, which we'll get to that in a second. But come on, this is not new for him. Think about it. His protege is the vice president. His company basically runs on government contracts. The man is winning. You don't flee a country when you're holding all the cards. Oh, don't you dare start with me on this is about the California taxes. He doesn't want to pay California taxes. Grow up. If you don't want to pay California taxes, you move to Florida. You move to Texas. You don't uproot your entire family and chase down a second passport because you want to, flee a state income tax? So in my opinion, the question is, what does Argentina offer him that America doesn't? Or at least not yet. Here's the thing. President Milei is tearing apart his own country on purpose. He's gutting agencies. He's regulations. He is shrinking the state every single day. And Thiel has said for years that he thinks a democracy is inefficient, that the country should be run like a company by tech elites. But he can't do that here, okay? Our institutions push back. At least they do for now. But down there, the president is already clearing ground for him. Okay, so back to Honduras. Peter Thiel in 2017 funded an entire private city called Prospera. It has its own laws, its own court system, its own tax system. It's basically a country inside a country. And when Honduras looked at Prospera and said, I don't know if that's healthy for our country, and tried to shut it down, Peter Thiel hit him with a $10 billion lawsuit. And this tells you exactly how much he cares about this country. America was never his home. It was his platform. Men like him don't have a home. They collect them. They collect mansions, passports, jurisdictions, all so that not one single nation's rules have to apply to them. Meanwhile, the rest of us are governed by our country. So no, he's not running from America. He is no man of America. He's building the thing that comes after democracy, and he's building it in the place where it's already falling apart. And he's making himself a citizen so that no one can touch him. That's the real story. That's the story that they're not going to tell you. Peter Thiel is not moving to Argentina because he's afraid of where America's headed.
And this is the thing that people need to understand. These, and we're going to touch on this when we get to our CBC segment here, is that, this is why we've been talking so heavily about these data centers and why you need to be very engaged with this, because they are rapidly pushing these data centers at the expense of the local people and the impact it's going to have, and it's already having on many, many people. But they don't care. They don't care. They don't see you as someone that they have to take care of and make sure that they don't care about you. They don't care. And so the people of like the Elon Musk or they think, oh man, Elon Musk, he's really for us and making these cars and all of that because he really wants us to, drive more efficiently. He's about saving the environment and all that. No, he's not. These Tesla cars, some of them may look nice and all of that, but the reality is these are information collectors. They are collecting information on each and every driver. And wherever the drivers go, wherever you go, those cameras and recording devices that these cars have, they're recording everything. So if they're recording everything externally and they're recording things that's happening in the car, what about your conversation? What about the different conversations that you have? All of that's being recorded. And where is it going? It's going to the data centers. I had someone tell me the other day, well, the data, they try to say that we need the data centers in order to have the internet. I said, no, you don't. I said, the internet's been, we've had data centers, even before this surge that we're seeing right now, but not like this. The data centers that we have right now is strictly about storage. It's about storage because there's massive amount of data that's being collected by these different devices. And they're doing that because they're taking all of that data, all of that information, and they're feeding it to whatever it is that they're trying to create their next big thing. So someone like a Peter Thiel, for example, he's looking at somewhere like in Argentina, as she pointed out, it's a whole topsy-turvy situation going on right now where they're just getting rid of a lot of stuff as far as standard government goes. And this is good ground for some fertile ground for someone like a Peter Thiel to come in and say, okay, let me set up shop here so we can create a country that's completely run the way I want it to be run. You understand what I'm saying? So they're doing this all over the world. They're doing this all over the world. So when you think about these tech guys or whatever, these are the people that are actually running things. They tell us this in movies all the time, y'all. Did you, for those of you who watch some of these shows here, like Fallout, Amazon has Fallout. Okay, the Fallout is a series, right? It is a series that talks about how you have a group of companies that are really the ones that are running everything. It's not the government, it's companies. Companies run things, right? That's one show. Aliens. Aliens talks about the same thing, how you have a company that's running all of this stuff. It's not government. Same thing with, what's the other thing? Pantheon, that's a cartoon, but it's the same thing. It's companies. It's not government. And all of this time that we spend, spending about trying to get the government and our vote counts and all that other stuff, that's front door stuff. That's front page stuff. That's to keep you engaged into the storyline. Behind the scenes, however, it's companies that run this stuff. It's companies that run this show. It ain't government, it's companies. Same thing with our military. It's companies that run all of that. You understand what I'm saying? So Peter Thiel, he's just doing the same thing. So there you go. I just wanted to mention it because I just thought that was quite something. I'm trying to move fast here because I'm trying to get to a couple of stories here. And then I want to get to the CBC thing, which is going to blow your socks off when you see the connection here. But anyway, yeah. Now, as you know, right now in the news, there's this, as y'all know, the story about Carmelo Anthony. That's the young man who decided to show up at a football game and basically bring a knife, and where he decided to go and kill somebody there, and on the street, they said he was trying to defend himself. However, the facts that we do know is that it wasn't necessarily a defense. It was just him going off. And some people are saying, well, he was being picked on at school. It doesn't matter if he was being picked on at school or not. You don't show up after the fact with a weapon and kill somebody. That is no justification for that. Murder is not a justification because someone's calling you names or pushing you, if that was the case. But from what we are seeing, that is not the case at all. This is a young man who basically lost his whatever at that moment and decided to go off. Not to mention that they already have on record that this Carmelo Anthony was already before having some issues in school where he was causing some problems. But see, you got people on social media, and I'm talking people like Professor Black Truth, Tariq Nasheed, and there are many others out there right now that are pushing and saying that he is our hero. This is a guy that we need to rally around and to support. This is a criminal. And I'll continue to say it over and over again. I would never advocate any of our young men to take the action that he took. I would never do that. I wouldn't do that. I would never do that. They say he was being bullied. He was being bullied where his life was almost taken away from him. Did that happen? Well, apparently that wasn't the case at all. If there was any bullying going on, you're talking simply what, name calling maybe? So that justified him getting a knife and stabbing somebody? That justified that. That was a justification. Shoot, you're going to do that. And this is what, see, here's the thing that's so irresponsible of these niggas that get on my freaking nerve is that you put this kind of stuff out in the airwaves and you got people out here who are mentally unstable that will hear that stuff and say, you know what? I'm going to go and do the same thing to my boss because I don't like the way he was talking to me the other day. And so you don't take any responsibility for that. You understand what I'm saying? But no, but someone like a Carmelo Anthony, absolutely not. You on your own for that. You are on your own, and whatever the law says, that's what needs to happen, period. There's no justification for that. And the same thing goes for Rodney Hinton. You remember Rodney Hinton, the father that basically decided to get a gun and to kill a random cop, all because his son had gotten shot by a cop. Why? Because the cop caught him and his friends in a stolen vehicle, and the cops repeatedly told them to pull over. They eventually pulled over. His son was one of the group of guys that was in the car, got out and ran after the cop kept telling him, hey, stop, stop, stop. He wouldn't stop. He pulled out a gun, and what do you think the cop is going to do? He's going to do what he has to do. So the father hears about this. He gets mad. He goes get his gun and says, I'm going to kill the first cop I'm going to see, and he does it. Then he gets arrested. And then I'm sitting up here on social media listening to these crazy behind-the-scenes out here who are saying, did you see how he was mugging them police officers on there? He was letting them know, you don't mess with me. I'm like, dude, he's the one in the orange suit. He's the one that's going to jail. What are you talking about? That's your hero? Did you see how he was looking at them? He was staring them down. He was just telling them, just with his eyes. He didn't have to say anything. Of course he did. But then we we don't mention the part of the fact that his lawyer later on said, well, Judge, I want to put in a request because I want to declare him insane. So this guy is trying to declare himself as insane, mentally unstable, but you got the Tariq Nasheeds, the Professor Black Truths, and other people out here saying that's your hero. And then the latest one we had was Gwendolyn White. We talked about her as well. This is the black woman who basically was taking the police to court because in her mind, she believed they were withholding some evidence about something that was going on or whatever. And we talked a little bit about that. But in her mind, she said, you know what? I don't like how this turns out. So I'm going to get a gun and I'm going to shoot these two attorneys. Once again, the same cast of characters that have a lot of pull and weight in the new black media are out here telling black folks that that's justifiable. The thing that really burns me up about that is these same ashy behind Negroes, they wouldn't even do that themselves. Many of them live in mostly white communities and they wouldn't even dare do anything of the sort. But once they get a microphone, once they get a slice of internet, they on here want to tell you, yeah, shoot, if I had given the opportunity, shoot, I would do it too. I think we need to support this person. And they are responsible, like Carmelo Anthony, what was it? Almost $1 million that was raised by black folks supporting this dude. And how many times I've said this many, many times, and I know some of y'all get tired of it, but I got to keep saying it over and over again. The videos that we did just on the Carmelo Anthony thing, I said, okay, let's take a look at these other black folks who are on Give, Send, Go and on these other similar pages that are asking for money. Let's take a look. And that's what we did. We took a look. I said, let's do a search for people who were shot by a stray bullet. And it pulled up a whole lot of black folks, didn't it? All they were asking for was a couple $1,000. And many of them, they were only able to raise $50, $100. Ain't nobody trying to raise money for them. And some of them were even children, black children that was shot by stray bullets. Nobody wants to raise up money for them. But Carmelo Anthony, we got to rally behind him. A whole criminal, we got to rally behind him. Let me say this. If that is your hero, if the individuals I just mentioned are your heroes, then don't ever include me in your community because that ain't something I would look up to, support, defend, never. I would never do that. But you have people out here, again, they are part of what I call they are the priesthood of the black matrix. They keep you in this forever self-destructive cycle where you always are thinking that way. It makes no sense, but you got people out here that are pushing that nonsense and it needs to be called out for what it is because these same Negroes, like I said, again, they wouldn't even do something like that. They know themselves. If they were in the same situation, they wouldn't do that. But they want to make these people into heroes that are psychologically insane because, again, these people are paid to put that out. They want black folks to stay in that sickening mindset where you would do stupid things like that and call it black retaliation. We standing on our square. Then I'm not in that square. I'm not in that square. You stay in that square yourself. You stay in that square yourself. Anyway, let's move on here to the next thing here. Speaking of which, here we had another quote-unquote teen takeover that took place in Clearwater Beach, Florida. Another teen takeover, and you know who was involved in that. And one person got shot. I don't know if they are critically conditioned or whatever, but in Clearwater, Florida, you could just look that up, okay? I'm just trying to move on to the final thing here. Here we go. Let's take a look at the Congressional Black Caucus, okay? Congressional Black Caucus. I have a couple of images here. Let me see if I can pull those up real quick here. Let me think. Let me see where I put those things here. Give me just a moment. Congressional Black Caucus. Okay, so the Congressional Black Caucus here. Let me look for my images here. Hold on for a second here. We talked about how they, okay, come on, another teen takeover. Let me see, Terrence. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay, so let me get this up here. Just a couple of images, and I want to show y'all real quick here. I'm just downloading some images here right quick. That one. That one. And these are, I'm getting these screenshots so that y'all can, you know, if you wanted to download these, you could. Just a moment here. Okay, got that. Okay, so I'll just talk about this particular story here. Peter Hegseth, he is the defense secretary, and there is a story going on. I mean, this headline out here, they're saying that he is a racist because the headline they keep saying over and over again is that he basically is, you know, he had the opportunity to, I'm trying to find where that is. Okay. It is right here. I'll bring it up here on the screen here so you can see it. Here you go. All right, so they say, breaking news, Defense Secretary Peter Hegseth blocked the promotions of at least 7 Navy officers in a move that targeted women and minority officers. This is what they're putting out. And, I mean, they're going full court press with this. But like I told you at the beginning of this broadcast, you know, and over here we do read. We actually read. And that is the headline. However, the story goes on. Okay. And in the story, it basically says, yes, there were 2 out of 22. There were 2 black men who were considered to be, you know, to get, what was it? The 1-star Navy 1-star Rear Admiral promotion. Okay. They had like 22 that was on a short list. Out of the 22, you know, that's why it's a short list, because there's some people that ain't gonna make it. Out of the people that didn't make it, there were 2 black men. There was 2 black men, 2 white women, right? And that's enough. And that's what the mainstream media ran with that. Oh, he's cutting off black people. He's cutting off black people. I knew he was a racist. Well, you got to keep reading the article. Because if you keep reading the article, guess what it says? There were 3 white men that he also cut off as well. Yeah, they kind of left that part out. But you're not going to hear a lot of these people even mention that. It's in the article, New York Times. They're not going to mention that. You're not going to hear people mention that. There was 3 white men that he also cut. But wait, there's more. Because I was, you know, still a little bit curious. I said, well, the people that are left over, are there any black people at all, you know, still on the list? Guess what? Yes, there's still 2 black people that are being considered. So no, he didn't cut all black people off and just got a bunch of white people up there. You understand what I'm saying? Now, I'm not saying this because I'm trying to defend Peter Hegseth and I'm just, you know, I'm trying to defend the MAGA, you know, I'm not any of that. Okay, that's not it at all. But what I'm saying, I'm saying all this to make a point. is that this is the importance of you digging in and going past the headlines and just finding out for yourself, because what these people are spinning out here it was not true at all. It wasn't the whole truth. It wasn't. But speaking of racism, since we want to go there and talk about government-sponsored racism, I think we can look at the Congressional Black Caucus. Now, let me show you a couple of graphics here. Let me get this up here, and I'm going to show you something here. Let me see. Get my stuff together here. Okay, let me go with this one here. Okay. Let's go with that. Okay. So I did a bit of digging here. Take a look at what's on the screen here. If it's too small, I do apologize, but I'll just, and you really don't have to read it all or whatever, but you could take a screenshot for sure, but I'll just show it to you. Bills funding Israel broadly supported by the Congressional Black Caucus. And there was at least 6 bills, and there's actually more that it's like in the kind of sort of category, but it's at least 6 bills. The Congressional Black Caucus has consistently supported massive spending bills for the state of Israel. Massive. Okay, I'm gonna show you how this is connected. And so here you got a list right here. Okay, going as far back as 2021, and I'm sure it goes back even further than that, because I could have gone back even further, but I just wanted something kind of recent. So from 2021 going all the way up to recent, they have consistently financially co-signed on financing the state of Israel. Okay. All right. Let me go ahead and get rid of that. Meanwhile, there's an article that's out now. Let me see if I can find that one. And we'll dig into that another time. I'm just, for the sake of time, I don't have that kind of time here, but I will bring this up. We'll get into this later, but just to give you an idea. It's right there. Congress quietly moves to integrate U.S. and Israeli militaries. The first step towards shifting aid further into the shadows, the House 2027 NDAA would all but fuse the two countries' armed forces together. So this is what's coming down the pike, ladies and gentlemen. And you have the Congressional Black Caucus co-signing on all of this stuff, because they're definitely going to co-sign on it based on their history. Now, why am I mentioning that? Why am I mentioning that? Because there's something else I want to show you. As soon as I can get rid of this stuff on my screen here, it looked like a nightmare. The congressional, one thing, okay, so Israel, why am I bringing that up? Man, you went way out in the left field on that. Okay, now you remember I know on this platform, I have brought up many, many times how many of the police departments here in the United States are trained by the IDF, Israel Defense Force. Okay, now the IDF is the same military that's over there in Gaza doing all kinds of horrendous acts towards those people. And people all over the world have been constantly protesting Israel over that. Killing children, killing babies, killing people just at random, at will, and all this other stuff. And there's all kinds, and they've made it into an art. They've made it into a science on how they do it. And you would think the governments of the world would be like, the horror. How dare we align ourselves with that? No. Actually, it's the opposite. They want to know how they can use those same techniques on their own people. And the United States is one of those countries that do that. They send people over there all the time to look at how are you able to do this? How are you able to control people like this? Well, we put our knee on their neck or whatever, and when they say they can't breathe, don't just ignore them, because that's not true. We got to make an example out of these people. Then they come over here and they put it in practice, and that's it. We complain about it, and then black Congress people, they come and they want to lead the march and say, the police are racist. The police are racist. Meanwhile, they're co-signing every spending bill for Israel to train these same police officers. See, these people don't expect you to think that deeply, but we do. Now, what I want to show you, like I said, up to this point, I have been saying that I know that there's quite a few police departments that are being trained by the IDF. But baby, I didn't know it was this much. So let me bring up this list here. When I saw this, you know how the expression is, I almost fell out of my seat. I honestly almost fell out of my seat in this one because I didn't realize it was this deep. So let me go ahead and bring this up on the screen so you can see for your own eyes the amount the police departments all over the United States that have sent people, officers over there to receive training from the IDF. I'll just mention some of them as we're going down. Atlanta Police Department, Baton Rouge Police Department, Baltimore County Police Department, California Highway Patrol, Chicago Police Department, Cobb County Department of Public Safety, Cook County Sheriff Police, Dallas Police Department, DeKalb County Police Department, Delaware State Police, Detroit Police Department, Green Bay, Houston, Illinois, Los Angeles. Oh, shoot, I'm not doing that. Hold on. Look, since I'm getting mad, I'm just playing. Los Angeles, that's where we were. Maryland, Nashville, Miami, Miami-Dade, Michigan, Mobile, Montgomery, New Jersey, New York, Philadelphia. Did you know this? I saw this. I was like, I didn't know. I knew it was a lot. I didn't know it was all of this. Bruh, this is all this. You might as well say this is all the police in the United States. You might as well. You might as well. Tulsa Police Department. Tulsa Police Department. Yeah, where Black Wall Street was. Tulsa Police Department. They even sent officers over there. Look at that. You might as well say all of these people, all of our police departments have been trained by Israel. So now doesn't it make a little more sense now when our government is even talking about merging Israel military with the United States military? Well, they've already pretty much done it with the police departments all over the country. You might as well go ahead and do it. I ain't advocating for that, but you understand what I'm saying. So here you got the Congressional Black Caucus who have been on board financing the IDF, who is known throughout the world for the horrors of their policing. The Congressional Black Caucus is willing to look the other way and being the consciousness of the Congress, they don't care. They go blind on that and said, yeah, let's continue to send money over there. Police departments in their precincts, in their districts, are going over there to get training from the world's worst military when it comes to humanitarian issues. Been rebuked by every known humanitarian body out there for how badly they treat people. Our police departments are going over there to get training. And then the moment these police officers come back and to put into practice what they got trained to do in Israel, then all of a sudden they're racist and, oh, it's Trump's fault and all this other stuff. But no, you've been bankrolled by them. So yes, you are directly connected to police brutality because you are the enablers of it. Here's another kind of off topic here. Let me see if I can pull this other one up here. This is, I'll show you this one here. Here's another image here. Follow the sponsorship. Again, this Congressional Black Caucus, their corporate sponsors, Amazon, Meta, Toyota, whatever, P&G, Procter & Gamble, Coca-Cola, Bristol Myers Squibb. Now it should start making sense to you that these individuals will not be the voice, the stopgap when it comes to these data centers. Amazon and Meta are two of the largest, two of them, just two. You got Google and OpenAI, they're up there too, and there's a few other companies. But Amazon and Meta, along with Elon Musk as well, but Amazon and Meta, they are throwing up data centers all over the country with no disregard to the people. And if you think that the Congressional Black Caucus is going to stand up and be that stopgap and to be that voice against it, you better think again, because they're receiving money in the back channel from these same companies. But like I said, they don't they are counting on you not to do even the basic research like what we're doing right now. They're counting on you. Instead, they want you to be caught up in emotionalism on other things. Coca-Cola, same thing. You can't count on them to be a voice, a stopgap, and say, what are y'all putting in these products that's causing our people to have diabetes and all these other diseases? You can't count on them to be a voice on that, because they won't, because they're receiving money from them. And I thought, and Coca-Cola is also, I think, one of the sponsors of the, I have to check and see, but Coca-Cola is one of the sponsors of the NAACP. The NAACP, Coca-Cola is one of the sponsors. That is right. Coca-Cola is one of the sponsors of the NAACP. The same NAACP that's out here saying that we got to boycott all of these sponsors, but the same sponsors are the ones that sponsor them. But like I said, they say this is what they tell you on Front Street. But once they finish, they step away from the microphones, they get back on that phone. They're like, hey, you like that performance? Okay, good. Hey, that check is still coming, right? Oh, okay, all right, we good. Bristol Myers Squibb, if you think they're going to be a voice, a stopgap when it comes to, okay, what are you putting in these pharmaceuticals? Why is it that we got elders that are on these high blood pressure pills for 20 years, 30 years, and they still have the same disease? We need to do an investigation on why is it that these same diseases persist, despite all of these things that you're promising. We need to put a commission on that. They're not going to do that, because they're receiving money on the back channels of these same companies. As I told you, again, it is not government that's running stuff. It is companies, the people that got money. Your vote means to them. But our ancestors, they bled and died for the, okay, yeah, they did. But unfortunately, it doesn't mean anything. Not in this system. It doesn't. Instead, they want to keep you linked to the past. There is one last thing I'm going to show you, and I sent that. Let me see. Desktop. Did I put that on my phone, or did I put, oh yeah, here it is right here. That would be desktop. Okay, great. Let me just show you this, and then we out of here. Not that. Hold on for a second. That would be, I'll show you this one too. Let me just pull this up real quick, and you could take a look at that. Take a screenshot of it if you like. This is right here. Current Congressional Black Caucus members with Black Greek letter organization ties. You could take a screenshot of that at your leisure, and it shows you basically, yep, this is where their allegiance lies for real. These are the people that are so-called leaders. These are the talented 10th. And this is who they really belong to. Anyway, so I just wanted to show that as well. But there's one I'm trying to pull up here. That's on desktop. Okay, that's that right there. Let me just show you this, and we're going to close out with this one here. Not that one. This one. There you go. Let me see if I can make this smaller here. You guys remember the whole the new Black Wall Street? They were making a bunch of noise about that. It's in Atlanta. It was in Atlanta, and they said this is the new Black Wall Street, the new Black Wall Street. We're gonna, have, it's gonna have all kind of stores in there and all that. We're gonna bring back the past and all this stuff. And this kind of ties into what we start off the broadcast, and that's this: is that always trying to keep us in the past. I am not saying we should ignore our history. Nobody's saying that at all. But, if you read the headline, it says here, Georgia's new Black Wall Street market closed. And this happened as of April the 30th, after a 5-year run due to a lack of local support. The mall was located approximately 20 to 25 minutes east of Atlanta. So it's gone. It's history. And unfortunately, I have to tell you, even at the beginning, when they were talking about doing this, I said, it's not going to last. And I wasn't saying that just because I'm trying to be negative. It's because I know. You understand what I'm saying? I'm just willing to say it. And one of the things, and the reason why I was saying that, one of the reasons I was saying that the emphasis is not brick and mortar. You could do brick and mortar, but it ain't really happening like it was, unless you're a Walmart or something. That's just what it is, right? That's number one. People are already trained on the whole brick and mortar thing. That's number one. Brick and mortar versus shopping online. That's one thing. That's one. But there's other factors as well when you dig into the story that contributed to this. So it's not just here we go, another case where black people don't support other black people. I'm not even going to go there with that because there were other factors, right? There were other factors that contributed to this. And like I said, again, just look it up, read the story. That's it. But the one factor I do want to mention is that it's has to do with this idea that we can recreate. All we got to do is recreate, the past. And if we can recreate the past, we can get everybody to come together and all this stuff. That's not it, y'all. That's not it, y'all. Okay. It's not about recreating the past at this point, because the past, they had certain things in place. There were certain things starting with the family that were already in place. Right now, we're not dealing with that kind of raw material anymore. Okay. We're a whole nother situation here, but you can't recreate the past. And by doing that, every time you do this over and over again and it fails, it's because you're trying to reach this, but you didn't meet the qualifiers to get to that point. It reminds me of a story that I played. No, I watched the video. It reminds me of a story that I saw, and maybe in the next live broadcast I'll show it to you. It's a black father in Maryland, coincidentally. His daughter went to a tech school, all right, graduated from a tech school, mostly black area, all of that stuff, right? He graduated, and, as a father, so proud and happy. My daughter, she graduated. She wanted to go to cadet school. She wanted to be a cadet. And so she goes there, and she went there that long and immediately put on academic probation. She was about to get thrown out. Why? Because she was failing in math, and I think it was another topic. She was failing in it, and the father, he basically went on to explain that he said, I had no idea. He said the school that she was going to, they basically lowered the standards of graduation. And they lowered them so bad that they didn't get a true assessment, or either did she. So when she went out into the real world and got measured, she was found in a very bad state. So the school had to this cadet school had to find resources just to help her get to a level where she was on par with everybody else. Folks, this is happening all over the country. So a lot of these graduations and stuff I'm seeing, it's good to see, they're graduating, all this other stuff. But a big part of that, unfortunately, and I'm being honest, it may not be your kids, it may not be people but there are a lot of this, unfortunately, is the result of the fact that you have districts all across the nation that have been lowering standards. And it's impacting black kids, but it's also impacting white kids and other children as well. So this is not just a black thing, because a lot of these, our government is realizing that they are behind when it comes to these other nations. But it's not like, ooh, they were caught off guard. What I am saying to you is that it's intentional. This system is intentionally trying to make you and I dumb. They want to make us stupid. They want us to be highly emotional, but just very, the intelligence level is down. Why? Because they're trying to take intelligence and basically monetize it by putting it in these machines. That's why they say, keep on talking, keep doing those posts on TikTok, because we're recording everything you're doing and saying so that we can put all of that into our system, and then we can make something else of it. We can create our own human beings. Let me play for you this one thing, y'all. I forgot about this, but I need to play it, and I'm so glad I remember this. I saw this. I was like, man, this is happening a lot quicker than I thought. You know how Elon Musk, he has this thing where he's doing the Neuralink, putting this digital chip in people's heads. But off the rip, I know people like myself, and I'm sure others now, man, black people ain't gonna do that. I'm not gonna even say anything. I'm just gonna play it and just let you just watch.
Do you have any side effects?
No, I don't have any side effects.
Do you have any?
I don't have any.
Can you feel it?
I can't feel it. Is it? I was able to do it, and then I did it.
And how long did that take you?
That took me about a week.
And then you went home and...
I practiced at home.
And so what do you think the biggest benefit of this is?
The biggest benefit is that it's going to help people with spinal cord injuries and people with Parkinson's disease and people with epilepsy and people with depression, anxiety, and all these different things. I could still move the mouse with my mind.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, I had. It's actually pretty cool.
Is it like a chip?
It's a small chip, yeah.
So I'm curious about the device itself, the actual, how long did it take you to get used to it?
It was a process, it took a few months to really get comfortable with it, but now it's just part of me, in my head.
Can you show us?
Can you show me where
right here. So the future is going to be amazing. We're going to be able to do so much more.
And do you have any side effects?
No, I don't have any side effects.
Do you have any?
I don't have any.
Can you feel it?
I can't feel it. Is it? I was able to.
Dang, y'all. I thought maybe it would be some pushback. Dang. All it is marketing, y'all. You market it the right way, there will be people that look just like you and me that's gonna be in line to get their chip. Dang. Ain't nothing more I could say on that. Anyway, that's it, y'all. That's all I have for you. Thank you so much, as always, for tuning in to this broadcast. And we're here for you. And all right, that's it. Thank you so much. Leave your comments below. And we'll be talking again soon. Take care now.